Good morning, everyone. I'm Dan Garodnick, Chair of the City Planning Commission and Director of the Department of City Planning. Welcome to today's meeting of December 17th. For this morning's agenda, we're going to hold a dozen votes on projects located in Brooklyn and Queens, starting with the acquisition of Prospect Farm in Windsor Terrace, Brooklyn. Department of Parks and Recreation seeks to acquire this space to preserve its use as a community garden. Since 2010, this garden has been an active part of the neighborhood, providing healthy food and a spot to drop off food scraps for composting. Our next series of votes will be on Constellation, several related proposals that together would deliver nearly 100 home ownership opportunities across 8 buildings in eastern Brooklyn. The buildings would be located in Bed-Stuy, Brownsville, East New York, and East Flatbush, and all sit close to subway or bus lines. This project is proposed by the Department of Housing Preservation and Development in collaboration with Habitat for Humanity. All these homes would be income-restricted affordable. From there, we'll cast our votes on 395 Flatbush Avenue Extension, a mixed-use project in downtown Brooklyn, proposed by HPD, the Department of Citywide Administrative Services, and the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. This 72-story tower would include over 1,200 new homes, of which between 325 and 379 would be income-restricted. The building would also feature a mix of ground floor retail and community facility space, a new entrance to the B, Q, and R trains at the DeKalb Avenue subway station, and nearly 5,000 square feet of public open space. This proposal is the first one to implement aspects of the Department of City Planning's Downtown Brooklyn and Fort Greene EDS and MEDS framework to guide this area's growth as a vibrant 24/7 neighborhood, and is the first project in Brooklyn that would use new high-density zoning districts created as a part of City of Yes for housing opportunity. These districts require mandatory inclusionary housing and are powerful new tools to address New York City's housing shortage. This site is also near several neighborhood amenities, including parks, Long Island University, Fulton Mall, Brooklyn Paramount Theater, the Brooklyn Academy of Music, and the Barclays Center. We'll then vote on another acquisition, this one for office space, by the New York City Administration for Children's Services at 1000 and 1040 Dean Street in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. This acquisition would allow the agency to consolidate and relocate from their current spaces at 1274 Bedford Avenue and 2554 Linden Boulevard. The new site would accommodate around 520 city staff. Moving over to Queens, we'll next vote on 6312 Broadway in Woodside. This building would contain nearly 70 homes, over 20 of them permanently income-restricted affordable, and ground floor retail. With the 65th Street M&R subway station less than 2 blocks away, this is a great example, of how transit-oriented development can work. I'm also happy to note that this was the first project in Queens to use Green Fast Track, which provides a faster, more streamlined environmental review process for small and medium-sized climate-friendly housing projects. We'll then head down to Lindenwood to vote on a mixed-use project at 7808 Linden Boulevard. This proposal would include nearly 270 new homes, of which up to 80 would be permanently income-restricted, as well as community facility space. The site is within walking distance of public open space at Gemini Fields, as well as the B14, B15, and BM5 buses. We'll also vote on a proposal to construct a new 2-family home at 24756 90th Avenue in Belrose. The building would be a few blocks from Long Island Railroad Belrose Station. Heading down to Far Rockaway, we'll cast our votes on 1410 Beach Channel Drive. This mixed-use project would create nearly 120 new homes, 30 of them income-restricted affordable. Located near the Far Rockaway Long Island Railroad Station, the building would include a house of worship and ground floor retail. The final vote for today and for the year will be on a development with over 180 new homes at 21714 24th Avenue in Bay Terrace. 55 of these homes would be permanently income-restricted affordable. 65 of them would be dedicated to long-term care for seniors, all located near the Bayside Marina and the Joe Michaels Mile. Switching gears to our public hearings, New Yorkers are invited to testify on a proposal by the Department of Environmental Protection and the Department of Citywide Administrative Services to construct disinfection facilities for combined sewer overflows in Flushing Creek, Queens. The project, which includes a site selection and acquisition of private property and a state-owned triangular traffic median between College Point Boulevard, 32nd Avenue, and the Whitestone Expressway, as well as a demapping of the traffic median, will help to significantly improve water quality in Flushing Creek, an important waterway that sits between the neighborhoods of Corona and Flushing. We're also going to hold a public hearing on a proposed demapping of an unbuilt portion of 32nd Street between 21st Avenue and Ditmars Boulevard. This change would help facilitate the continued operation of an outdoor play area for the students at Astoria Lutheran School. Finally, since this is the last City Planning Commission meeting of the year, I would just like to take a moment to wish my fellow commissioners and everyone in attendance in person and also on Zoom a very joyful and relaxing holiday season and a very, very happy and healthy new year. So we will pick this up officially in 2026, of course, and we can also think about the future at the end of the meeting. We can also wish you very happy holidays at the end, but I wanted to start by doing it here. So with that, Madam Secretary, I'm going to turn it over to you. We'll note that the Vice Chairman is a couple of minutes behind, so we should factor that in if we want to do the votes at the beginning or if we want to start with the public hearings. I'll defer to you.
Good morning. This is the City Planning Commission public meeting held remotely and in person in the CPC hearing room at 120 Broadway, Lower Concourse. Today is Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. I will now call the roll. Chair Garodnick.
Here.
Vice Chair Knuckles on this way. Commissioner Benjamin. Present. Commissioner Cerullo. Here. Commissioner Crowell. Present. Commissioner Dweck. Here. Commissioner Gold.
Here.
Commissioner Goodridge. Here. Commissioner Kamani. Here. Commissioner Mann.
Here.
Commissioner Marin on remote.
Here.
Commissioner Osorio.
Here.
Commissioner Ramprashad. Here. A quorum is present. The first item is the approval of the minutes of the public meeting of Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025.
Thank you very much. I make a motion to approve the minutes of December 3rd. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Kermani. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay, minutes are approved.
Okay. Scheduling. Calendar numbers 1 through 7, scheduling Wednesday, January 7th, 2026 for a public hearing to be held in person in the CPC hearing room, 120 Broadway, and remotely.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the resolution.
Aye.
Seconded by Commissioner Ramprashad. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Resolution is adopted. Thank you.
Okay. Hearing a call to move to the public hearing portion. We'll call the first item. The next part of the calendar is the public hearing section on page 11. The first public hearing item will be Borough of Queens, calendar numbers 29 and 30, Flushing Creek CSO Disinfection Facilities, Community District 7, calendar number 29, C250324PCQ, calendar number 30, C250232MMQ, public hearing in the matter of an application for site selection, acquisition, and a city map amendment concerning Flushing Creek CSO disinfection facilities. There will be a 10-minute presentation from the team.
Great, and that team includes Mitchell Winbish, Alfonso Lopez, Timothy McDonald, Robert White, and Keith Mahoney. Welcome to all of you. Glad to have you here, and whenever you are set and ready, just make sure that the microphone is on, which I think it may be. The floor is yours.
Great. Thank you very much, and good morning to everyone. We'll be discussing the Flushing Creek Combined Sewer Overflow Disinfection Facilities. We'll go through a quick overview of who's here for DEP. I'm Alfonso Lopez, the Queens Commissioner for DEP. We have Monica Harvey, Bureau of Engineering, Design, and Construction, Mitchell Winbish, Bureau of Environmental Planning and Analysis, Keith Mahoney, Bureau of Sustainability. With Arcadis, we have Timothy McDonald, and with AKRF, we have Robert White. Quick outline of our presentation. We'll be beginning with a project background and purpose and objectives, followed by project design and operational data, project review and schedule, and a quick summary. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague.
Okay, thank you. So this is our required under Combined Sewer Overflow Consent Order with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. We entered into consent order with them back in originally 1992. It was amended a few times, last major amendment in 2012. So it required us to develop what they call long-term control plans, which looks at a various of technologies to help reduce the impacts of combined sewer overflows on the receiving waters, primarily to reduce pathogens and viruses that are associated with combined sewer overflows. So we looked at a number of alternatives, and one of those alternatives had disinfection, which was required by the state. We submitted 11 long-term control plans. All have been approved to date, so we're advancing all the projects, including this one. So this one is calling for in Flushing Creek disinfection of 2 outfalls during the recreational season to help protect it for recreational uses from kayakers and things like that. And just to mention again, so DC required us looking at disinfection. It is an approved technology from EPA. There's over 60 facilities throughout the United States that practice CSO disinfection, as well as 10 facilities within New York State that are practicing CSO disinfection. This was selected because it's by far the most cost-effective technology to really address the pathogens and viruses associated with CSO, and we also have floatables control.
Thank you, guys. So, as Keith was saying, this project would disinfect the flows. I'm sorry, yes, Mitchell Wimbish from DEP. So this project would add the disinfection element to kill the harmful bacteria and viruses that are present in the CSO currently. And the state has mandated the maximum effluent limit of TRC, that's total residual chlorine, to be 0.1 milligram per liter. So that's the balance we have of both protecting health and human safety that Keith was talking about for the recreation users on Flushing Creek, while also seeking to limit the amount of chlorine that goes into the water body, which could affect the environment. So we're looking to construct 2 facilities. On the map on the slide, you see the triangles are the outfalls. The flows from those 2 outfalls would be disinfected under this project. So outfall TI-11 is on the top of the slide. That's at the corner of 32nd Avenue and the Whitestone Expressway Service Road. So that would be the state DOT property that we were looking to acquire. And that facility would both chlorinate and dechlorinate the flow in the one new facility. For TI-10, which is the further south outfall, we would use the existing CSO retention facility that's marked in purple on the map to chlorinate the flow, and then dechlorinate the flow at a new facility on Avery Avenue, which we're seeking to acquire from Home Depot. So these are the ULURP actions. We're here before you. Just again, the top one is the traffic triangle currently owned by state DOT as part of the Whitestone Expressway Service Road that we would need a mapping action to take that out of the right-of-way. And then for both of the locations, we would need to acquire and site select. And so the bottom TI-10 site, that's currently owned by Home Depot. The store is part of the blue section. We're only acquiring the small red section of the lot. So this, just to give you the context, this is the TI-11 site. That's the state-owned traffic triangle. The bottom picture there shows behind the fence, but they're below the Whitestone Expressway. And we have a picture of the rendering next. And I believe the question was asked at certification about PDC. This will be approved by PDC. We're currently in that process. So it has not been approved yet, but we are getting PDC approval. And this is the TI-10 site. That grassy area on the left side of the picture on the bottom would be where we construct our facility. That's what's East Road that goes into Flushing Meadows, Corona Park. And then the rendering here shows it there. That's under the Van Wyck Expressway. All right, I'm going to pass it to Tim.
Okay, thank you. Timothy McDonald from Arcadis of New York, the DEP's design consultant. So for the design implementation, we start by doing sewer modeling. It's basically the city works to model the entire sewer drainage area. It's about 9,000 acres for these 2 outfalls. So during the months of May to October each year is when the disinfection is required to occur. So a summary here on the table is the number of events that occur in CSO flows going to the creek. Throughout those events, it's an average of 16 to 18 hours per storm event where the disinfection would be required. There's just over about 1.4 billion gallons of flow that goes out to the creek currently untreated. And so the intent is to treat approximately 91% of all the flows that go out to the creek. And we do that by adding a chemical called sodium hypochlorite. It's about a 5% solution. It's essentially commercial bleach. And then that reacts with the pathogens and the bacteria that's in the water. And then if there's any remaining residual chlorine, we then treat that water again before it goes to the outfall with sodium bisulfite, which is a reducing agent that works to deactivate any remaining residual chlorine that might be in the water. In comparison to the over 1 billion gallons of flow that goes out to the CSO, the total volume over that entire period of disinfectant that might be added is on the order of about 120,000 gallons. And then the sodium bisulfite is about 10,000 gallons. And that's throughout the course of those storms over that 6-month period. So how this works, on the slide here, we've got an aerial view of the Flushing area. In the lower right corner is Queens Botanical Garden. So the blue outlines there are the sewers. The flow comes in from the right-hand side of the page. Normally, all the flow would go into the large blue area in the center of the screen. That's the existing Flushing Bay CSO retention facility. The water's trapped there, and when possible, it's pumped back to the Tallman Island treatment plant for treatment. There's times when that overflows, both at the tank and then within the sewer system in the upper right. So the flow goes out, continues to the left where the outfall is at Flushing Creek. So we'll disinfect those flows at the tank and on the upper right-hand side of the screen directly into the sewer. And then we add the sodium bisulfite towards the upper left of the screen where that new facility is sited before the flow goes out to the creek. For the TI-11 system, it's a little simpler. So on the right-hand side of the screen, there's a sewer that runs under Linden Place and goes up to the Tallman Island treatment plant. When the treatment plant can't handle the flows, it overflows at a regulator at the corner of Linden Place and 32nd Avenue. And there's also upstream regulators off the screen to the right side of the page, which have flows, which also come down the sewer conduits, which go from right to left on the screen out to Flushing Creek. So we add disinfectant, sodium hypochlorite, at the intersection with Linden Place and 32nd Avenue. And then again, before that flow can hit the outfall at Flushing Creek, sodium bisulfite would be added adjacent to the proposed facility site. Okay, and then this is a simplified view of what's actually happening in the pipe. So the flow goes from left to right on the page. The top of the page that represents the sewer conduits as they go out to Flushing Creek. The hypochlorite gets injected far upstream, thousands of feet upstream in either case for these two piping networks, and immediately begins reacting with any bacteria and pathogens that are in the pipe, in the CSO flow. It also naturally decays. As the flow continues through the pipe, in the amount of time that it has to react with the pathogens, the bacteria, the concentration of that chemical continues to drop. And then if for any reason it exceeds the 0.1 milligram per liter that the state would allow for the discharge into Flushing Creek, sodium bisulfite would be added a few hundred feet upstream of the discharge point to react with any remaining chemical and drive it below that limit and closer to zero. Okay? Okay, back to Mitchell.
Thank you. So yeah, so we're just to give you the schedule, we did issue a negative declaration for this project in October, and we're now in the Euler process, which we are anticipating to finish in May of 2026. And then we would start the acquisition process and hopefully move to construction notice to proceed in November of 2026, and it's a 35-month construction process that would be done in October of 2029.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for all this. Let me just ask a mechanical question about the chemical process, which you just went through.
Sure.
And it was pretty clear, although I realized that there's at least one gap in my own understanding of it. So the chemicals that are added furthest away from Flushing Creek, you said it was chlorine-based.
Sodium hypochlorite.
Sodium hypochlorite.
Right. So
Okay.
It's basically a water and salt solution.
And that has the effect of combating the bacteria that is present.
That's correct.
And it is injected in a place that is far enough away from Flushing Creek so as to give the time for it to actually work its magic.
Correct.
Okay. How far away is that?
It's a little over 2,000 feet away from the creek for the TI-10 location, and then about 1,700 feet away for the TI-11 location.
Okay. Okay, so 6+ football fields for one, roughly 6. Okay, all right.
Correct.
And then it travels down. And this is the part that I think I didn't understand. There is at some point a subsequent detection of whether the chemical
Correct.
is still present. And if it is, an additional chemical is added so as to counterbalance. Listen, chemistry was not my favorite subject in school, but there's an additional substance put in to actually reduce the presence of the first one.
Correct.
Okay. How do you measure the need for that? At what point does that go in, and how does it go in? That's my question for you.
Yes. So inside each of these facilities, there's basically chemical storage tanks. There's also a set of pumps associated with each one of those tanks. There's a control panel and a control system that's located in that facility. It's essentially the brains of the operation. Out in the sewer network, as I have here shown for TI-11, there are sensors that are in the sewers that detect when the overflows are about to occur and the flow is about to go into a sewer conduit that could take it to the outfall. So that would initially trigger the start of the sodium hypochlorite pumping in through a pipeline into the sewer. That's your initial treatment. Then depending on the flow rate through the system, okay, that affects how much time that sewer flow that's now been treated is sitting in that pipe and how long it travels through the pipe. Okay, so that varies with each storm because it's very difficult to predict. As the flow goes downstream and approaches the outfall, we have a downstream sensor called the TRC analyzer, total residual chlorine analyzer. And what that does is it draws a sample from the sewer, and it's continuously sampling throughout the storm event, and it starts to detect, is there any hypochlorite present in the water that's coming through that point, okay? And what that does is it adjusts the dosage and the pumping of the sodium bisulfite, which would then get injected into the sewer immediately downstream of that location, okay? That reaction is instantaneous. There's a lot of good mixing in the sewer. We've modeled that to confirm that. So if there was any residual chlorine that hadn't been taken up by the bacteria and the pathogens that are in the sewage, then the sodium bisulfite, when it hits the water, it mixes with that treated flow, and it would essentially deactivate the sodium hypochlorite that might be remaining. Then immediately downstream of that point, or a few hundred feet downstream, we take another residual chlorine reading to make sure that we don't exceed the 0.1 milligrams per liter that the state has imposed as the limit for this particular water body. So it's anticipated the amount of time we have, plus the design of the system, that will be below that 0.1 milligrams per liter. We might be closer to 0 at all times, but that's basically how to make sure we achieve the results and can report that to the state.
So is it fair to say that the measurements are ongoing and sort of automatic?
Yes.
As opposed to needing ongoing
Sampling.
Human testing? Like this
Correct.
Is an ongoing measurement, it sends a signal and automatically...
Correct. The conditions change so quickly that humans could not do this fast enough.
That makes
so
sense.
It's real-time monitoring, real-time adjustment. And then when the facilities are activated, the DEP gets notification of that. Their operators go to the facility, and then they start checking over the operation, and they have the ability to make adjustments if necessary, if they see something that doesn't appear to be working correctly. Okay, and then in addition, all the sensors that I mentioned, plus the control system, the pumps, the tanks, everything has redundancy. So if something does fail, there's automatically a backup that kicks in right away to maintain the treatment.
How much of the overall system has this sort of monitoring and treatment? This is not a question about this particular application. It's really more of a general question.
I would say, with respect to CSOs or all of the facilities?
No, CSOs.
CSOs, Keith, there's how many CSO facilities? Sorry. Because the city has CSO treatment facilities. So Flushing Bay CSO is one. Alley Creek is another. Spring Creek, right? Newtown Creek's a treatment plant. So all the treatment plants have this same technology because they have to chlorinate the water and then dechlorinate before it goes out to the receiving waters. So the technology we're implementing here is exactly the same as what the DEP uses in all their facilities. The primary difference is in this case, we're adding the chemical to a pipe instead of a tank at a treatment plant. So there's a time difference, essentially, in the amount of time that the water can be exposed to the chemical.
Okay, so there's a system in place to deal with it, it's dealt with, but I guess I'm really asking a bigger picture question about, of all of the CSO that exists in the city, what percentage of it has this treatment of the chlorination and dechlorination is really what I'm asking.
This would be the only one, and this is going to be the first.
I'm sorry, say that again?
This is the first, and this would be the only.
This is the only one where it's treated into a pipe.
Yeah.
I mean, there's others where it's treated in other ways, in a tank. But, okay, so then if you take the tank and the pipe and you look at the overall CSO of the city, what percentage is treated using chlorination and dechlorination as opposed to no treatment?
Do you know that number? I think we'd have to get back to.
Okay, I realize it's not about this specific application, but I am interested in understanding how it all
It'd be safe to say it's relatively small, considering the number of outfalls the city has.
Yeah.
But as a percentage of flow,
okay, well, if there's any way, I would be interested, but obviously it doesn't have specific bearing on this application. Okay, I'm going to go to Commissioner Rampersad, Commissioner Dweck.
Sure. How you doing? Thanks for the presentation. Just a couple of quick questions. Can you just walk us through the presentation to the community board and their feedback? And also, have you gotten the chance to take a look at the borough president's recommendation of disapproval? Can you speak to regards to the two conditions that he mentions?
Yeah, so there's, at the community board, we met with them, there's concern about the presence of the chemicals remaining when it hits the water body. And, we really look at, our experience, like we were saying, with all the treatment plants and the other facilities that do this, and the way that the chlorine works in the water body, it decays so quickly, it gets uptaken so quickly that even, we're designing the system to be at zero at any one time. And if it is at that 0.1 limit, when it hits the water, it'll start to be uptaken by other pathogens in the water and then dilute so quickly and decay so quickly that it won't be even at 0.1 at any specific location for an extended period of time. Their concerns were based on what we saw in literature review that we did was like any negative effects were really based on a much longer exposure time, like something like 48 hours of one concentration being held constant, that has the effects on different biota in the water. And so for this project, we understand that when the flow comes out of the pipe and hits the water, it mixes with the water so quickly and the chlorine decays so quickly that we don't expect to see the effects that they're concerned about.
And how about in regards to the borough president? In regards to the borough president's comments, did you get a chance? Do you know what they are?
Yeah, we saw them yesterday, I think. But again, because one of the comments was doing an EIS or green infrastructure, and we can speak to the green infrastructure investments we've made in this area. I think we have over 2,000 assets that we've constructed in the Flushing Creek drainage area. It's like such an enormous drainage area, and the CSO flows are very large. We've already built the CSO retention facility, and so I think we've gotten the CSO was at one point about 2 billion gallons per year, and now it's about 1 billion gallons per year that we've addressed through those kinds of facilities. And we're still looking at other things like sewer separation to take more water out of to take stormwater out of the combined system, and green infrastructure, which takes stormwater out of the combined system. So we're doing all these other elements to try to remove as much of the stormwater flow from that system so that the CSOs become less. But to do something, because one of the other concerns from the community board especially was like, wanting another tank or another tunnel or something to completely trap the CSO rather than treat it. And the flows are so large and the area is so difficult to work in that there's no conceivable way to really make the same kind of impact to the water quality that we can do with this project by constructing new facilities.
Just one last question. The green infrastructure is available on the website, on DEP's website. You can...
Yeah, we have a slide. We can show you, I don't know if we have the map of all the infrastructure. But yeah, we have the GI map and it has all the assets. Is this a touch screen? Yeah, shows you all the assets we built in the drainage area. Yeah, I think it's 2,000. I think something over. I remember the investment was over $1 million. What's that? $140 million in GI in this drainage area.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Dweck?
Thank you. So one of my questions was answered. You noted at the beginning that there are 60 similar systems throughout the United States that have been installed already. Is there any real life feedback from how they are operating?
Do you know? Did you see that in your?
Yeah, I mean, when we first proposed these projects, we actually met with Michigan. I think they have like 15 facilities. We went out there, met with the operators. 15, and this is just in Michigan itself. They do almost every outfall. They do disinfection. So we met with them, and they said there's a learning curve, but it's working. They've been doing it for like 20 years now.
And have you reviewed their results, the numbers, the data?
We looked at it. They had much more lenient limits than us. They had typically limits of 2 milligrams per liter, where we have 0.1. And sometimes they would just chlorinate. They weren't too concerned about the chlorine in the receiving water. But this is back in, so this is in 2015, but that's when we met with them.
Thank you.
And if I can add to that too, some of the municipalities in Michigan that have experience with this, they've written a number of white papers on their experience with some of the control technologies that we're implementing here. So there's a lot of lessons learned that we've extracted from their experience that we're applying here to make sure that the systems we're implementing will actually work in this type of setup.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Benjamin?
I have a couple of questions. One is, if I'm understanding you about the chlorine, in its own way, what you're saying is dilution is the solution to pollution. Is that fair?
That's a fair statement, yes.
Okay. And I understand that the chlorine affects the bacteria, but one of the things with CSO is petroleum products and other things. How is that going to be dealt with within this new system, since the chlorine won't affect that?
That's correct. So, yeah, if there's any petroleum products
And we know
water,
on the streets,
right,
there is petroleum products.
Yes, there could be runoff from that, but this project would not treat that specifically. As Keith mentioned, there's a separate floatables project that the DEP is implementing, and that would remove large floating objects, bottles, cans, rags, anything that makes its way into the sewer off the surface would also be removed under a parallel project. Okay.
So where are we in relation to the limits for petroleum-related products in the receiving waters, and what are the limits that are set by the feds?
I honestly don't know. I don't think there are limits. We can get back to you on that.
Well, I think there are limits on the constituent. Sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know the answer to
There are limits on
that.
some of the constituents of the petroleum products?
I'm just not sure if there's water quality criteria for that, but I can definitely look into it.
Okay, I'd appreciate.
I know they look at it more so when it gets into the sediment and things like that, because they're partitions, but yeah, I'd have to look if there's actually water quality criteria.
Okay, because I'd like to know how it will affect the receiving water and the biota near the outfall.
Okay.
And last but not least, the pipes that will be going to the outfall. What is the transit time that you expect?
So the transit time will vary depending on how long or how intense of a storm event occurs. So at a minimum, it's 6 minutes of detention time. That's the shortest detention time that can occur within the shortest pipe, which is the TI-11 system.
Mm-hmm.
On average, it's closer to 13 to 14 minutes under longer duration storms that have a lower flow rate or a lower intensity of flow going out.
And with the heavier solids that will settle,
yes,
I noted that you talked about there would be a process every so often to clean that out. the sediment that may settle within the pipes?
Yes, so that happens at the Flushing Bay CSO facility. Flow goes in there normally, even when it's not raining, what they call infiltration and inflow. So on occasion, I don't know how often it is, but the DEP operations will go in and clean out those tanks to capture any sediment that's captured in the tanks. And then the Bureau of Water and Sewer Operations, they have periodic sewer cleaning activities that they would go in and clean out anything that might have gotten captured in the sewer that doesn't get pushed out to the outfall during one of these storm events.
So you wouldn't affect any of these pipes to become septic?
No.
Even the sediment on that may be settling for a while?
Correct, because typically what happens is when you get one of these larger storm events, it has a tendency to push everything out of the sewer that might have settled over time. So it's not often that there's a lot of debris, and as part of the project, we actually did robotic sewer inspection of all these sewer conduits, and didn't see very much debris accumulating at the bottom of the sewers. There was a couple spots where, like a large log or something of that nature.
Do these sewers have little nipples at the bottom, or are they just?
No, so the sewers, so the smallest sewer here is 9-foot diameter.
Okay.
Most of them are, in some cases, they're double or triple barrel, but each barrel is about 10 feet tall and 18 feet wide. So they're significantly large. I think the TI-11 sewer, the smallest one there, is an 8-foot wide double barrel sewer. So it's two 8-foot diameter pipes that are running side by side out to the outfall.
And the sediment, my last question, is not expected to have any impact on the receiving water, even when you're washing, or the effect after a storm when it's pushed out?
Don't believe so, no.
Was it examined in the EIS?
No,
Bob?
we examined that specifically in the EIS. Yeah. Sediment.
It's like, as the background condition, but no, we didn't specifically study that effect on this, but we can look into it.
Okay, if you would just get back to me with what...
I guess another way to answer your question is, the disinfectant agent would not, the sediment that's in there or any of the solids, that can actually get in the way of the reaction of the disinfectant. Right. But it's not a situation where the hypochlorite, say, latches on or leaches into that sediment, then gets trapped in the sewer and then makes its way out to the outfall the next time the sewer would be scoured, if that's what the concern is.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, but if you could get back to me with a little more specifics, I'd appreciate it. Thanks, all of you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Osorio?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you so much for addressing our questions. I wanted to build a little bit on the questions asked by Commissioner Rampersad. When I was reading the comments from the community board and the board president, but also some of the advocacy organizations that have voiced concerns, you know, I really just wanted to give you an opportunity to further respond to some of their concerns. Specifically, I want to understand, and also acting as the Coastal Commission, I want to understand, you know, how did you decide that an EIS wasn't required? Because one thing is that, you know, the structure of a EAS and the results in terms of kind of like the ULURP application may be sufficient, but given the designation of this area as a special natural waterfront area by the Waterfront Revitalization Program, I feel that we should be doing further analysis. And so my questions are specifically focused on Policy 6 in terms of the potential impact of natural resources. I read your analysis in the WRP, but I'm wondering, again, you know, why there are some things that we just didn't monitor because they were not required by the EAS. On Policy 7, on chemical exposure, I read your provisions to protect the facility or the sites for future flooding, and it's clear that you're fulfilling the requirements of Appendix G in terms of, you know, elevating the entrances, elevating electrical equipment, but not the chemical storage tanks. And so I want to understand a little bit what's the plan there, because going back to Commissioner Benjamin's question, it sounds to me that in addition to WRP requirements, your own community right to know laws may trigger, depending on the amount of chemicals that you're storing, an actual emergency protocol here. So I would like to understand a little bit more what's the plan. And then just finally, on Policy 8, waterfront access, I was wondering if you can explain how the facility, the actual facility, is going to relate to Corona Park, and how does that, you know, from an urban design, what are the impacts from an urban design point of view on waterfront access?
All right, do you want to talk about the chemical storage question, or?
Okay.
Or maybe start with just the park, because I think, so for the TI, Tim facility, that's the Home Depot property. It does border the park, but it's also like on the side of a road that may be used to enter the park, but there's no parkland uses like really there in sight. So you can see how, you know, our facility would be on the other side of the road, and there's already this parking area, and so I don't think any park users will really be aware of our facility. And then, you know, obviously we have the existing CSO retention facility that's in the park, a part of the Al Order Recreation Center, and so we've been working with Parks Department to make sure, you know, all the work that we have to do there is coordinated, because that's their maintenance yard and stuff. But we don't expect any disturbances to the park's operation at that facility.
If you could maybe share with us a little more detail in terms of what the actual pedestrian experience will look like once this is you're envisioning, that will help me understand, illustrate your response. But I appreciate that response.
All right.
So where this is situated, you can kind of see in the aerial view in the upper left, and even the picture in the upper right. It's more in a maintenance area for the park, so there are no sidewalks in that particular area, because the intent is, in discussions with Parks Department, if you look in the photo to the upper left, that long rectangular building, just below that, there's a pedestrian walkway that goes underneath the Van Wyck Expressway, and it lines up with Avery Avenue and the crosswalks that then connect to the sidewalks that are contiguous with the Flushing area over there. So that they prefer to deter pedestrians from going up this walkway and up this roadway, because it's a very tight area and it's busy. There's a lot of truck traffic in and out of the park at those locations, as well as to the Parks Department. All their maintenance facilities, black fix shops, mechanics are all housed in that long rectangular building adjacent to where we're across the street, really, from where we're proposing to site this facility.
Thank you. That's useful. If you don't mind sharing with us any formal comments that the Department of Parks has made on this, it just shocks me that, you know, without a sidewalk even, just there's kind of like a minimal, you know.
Yeah, there's no sidewalk there now, as you can see from the photos.
Yes. So not that you're impacting the existing conditions.
Correct.
It's just that it strikes me that the Parks Department would sort of like not expect a little more integration.
Yeah, we didn't get any concerns expressed for them. Their primary concerns were we have to excavate on Parks Department property and install some pipelines and some manholes and do a road crossing at this location, and they just asked that be completed during nighttime hours so as to limit impacts to their normal daytime operations. And then they did note all the what they call construction blackout periods for when there's events going on in the park, such as Gov Ball, such as when the U.S. Open tennis tournament is in town. This whole area here, and that's actually, I think, what the aerial picture in the upper left is a picture of, is it becomes a large staging area for deliveries of any of the beverages and the food and everything that's used at the tennis tournament. Okay.
Thank you. That's useful. If you can share anything in writing, I would appreciate it. And then, you know, I don't know if you want to respond to the chemical storage situation and the flooding aspect of it. I also remember that when you came here not long ago, when we were reviewing another proposal on the parking lot of the proposed casino, there was a DEP emergency study in progress, and I don't know if that's completed or if you can share anything along those lines as well. Anything that help us and the public understand, you know, why do you think that the chemical storage is not going to be a problem, deeming potential dislodgement during severe weather?
Sure. So as you noted, the facilities, and here I'll pull up the rendering, this is the TI-11 facility. So both facilities where they're sited, I believe the base flood elevation for either is between 5 and 6 feet above finish grade. That's where this could potentially flood to when looking at future floodplain projections. And as you noted, the entrances to the building and all the openings to the building were elevated above that. There were anywhere between 8 and 9 feet above grade. So three or more feet above projected flood elevation. The tankage is inside of that, so up to 9 feet, basically up to that flood elevation. The exterior of the buildings is concrete walls that are connected to then concrete foundation, and then the entire facility is pile supported as well. So water can't get in anywhere into that building at those lower elevations. Any penetrations that we have, say for piping or electrical conduit, most of those are either above the elevations, but anything we can't put above, they're all watertight connections.
But what happens if there actually gets in? Like, there were examples here after Sandy where water actually went in. Are there secondary valves? Are there berms? How are you potentially containing a...
We're designing the building to be resilient against that type of scenario. Yeah, so
fair enough,
it's year 2100 plus floodproofing protection, so it's base flood elevation plus 60 inches.
So just thank you. That's useful and fair enough. And I don't want to take more time, but I was wondering if, again, there may be additional level of detail required by your community right to know laws down the road for operations purposes, and anything that you can anticipate for us to understand how you're planning to, respond to that potential scenario and to just give the public some assurance would be appreciated.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Okay. Any other questions? Commissioner Cerullo?
So, this isn't, it's related to this, but it isn't specific to this. It's more of a policy question for the agencies. The issue of CSOs have been discussed and debated for literally decades. And frighteningly, I remember some of them from decades ago. Is there any effort while projects like this proceed, and they're important given what the environmental issues are in relation to CSOs, that the city is looking at with respect to a longer-term plan to go to separate storm and sanitary sewer systems where CSOs become less necessary? I mean, I know it could take forever. There's probably no end date where that could happen. I actually remember at one point back in the late 80s, there was a price tag of like $10 billion then. But I just wonder, while these projects move forward, what is the long-term plan? Is it just to keep them and make them as sustainable and safe as possible? Or is there a plan over time to target neighborhoods where we can actually eliminate them and bring separate storm and sanitary systems into our communities? It's a big picture question, but it's so relevant at this moment.
No, like you said, the CSO's programs forever. Right now, about 60% of the sewers are combined, 40% are separated, some of that's even direct drainage. We do pursue that all the time. It's just, like you said, it's very expensive. Even that $10 billion, like you said, from the 80s is like over $100 billion now, not even constructible.
Absolutely.
But we're still looking for areas. We recently certified Rockway's completely separated. There's a big project in Southeast Queens, but a lot of, in Staten Island, Oakwood Beach is separated, pockets in Port Richmond. A lot of times in the congested areas with the utility sides of sewers, it's hard to do. So we're still pursuing pockets. Like we're looking at maybe having some separation now. We'd send storm water into maybe Willow Lake and Meadow Lake upstream of Flushing Creek.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's just a piece of it. It's hard to get all out of there. And even with stormwater, there's similar pollutant concerns with petroleum, and it's also regulated on an MS4 consent order. So
yep,
there's a lot going on. But there's a lot going on. We're looking at further CSO reductions. The biggest issue is the price tag. Right now, we committed to $9 billion in new CSO projects, and we're trying to balance the water rate. But we do pursue it. It's just a very long-term goal.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because there's a gap of time where I would know what the progress was.
No, we always
on that
look at it,
issue.
and we're looking at more now at a hybrid, both CSO reduction and more inland flood mitigation. So we keep trying to get some hybrid projects where we get both benefits.
That's great. And given our attention to environment and sustainability and health, it makes sense. So I really appreciate the response. Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much.
Thanks, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, all right, thank you very much for your presentation here today. And I note that we do not have members of the public who wish to be heard on calendar 29 and 30. So we'll close the hearing on the Flushing Creek CSO disinfection facilities application. And I would recommend we now move back to the vote portion of the meeting, and then we'll move on to our next public hearing of the day. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Chair Garodnick. The next part of the calendar will be the report section starting on page 7. Borough of Brooklyn, calendar number 8, Prospect Farm Acquisition, Community District 7, C250304PQK, in the matter of an application for an acquisition concerning Prospect Farm, for a favorable report on calendar number 8. Chair Garodnick.
Aye.
Vice Chair Knuckles.
Yes.
Commissioner Benjamin.
Aye.
Commissioner Cerullo.
Yes.
Commissioner Crowell.
Yes.
Commissioner Dweck.
Yes.
Commissioner Gold.
Yes.
Commissioner Goodrich is recused. Commissioner Kamani.
Yes.
Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner Marin.
Yes.
Commissioner Osorio is recused. Commissioner Ramprashad.
Yes.
A favorable report has been adopted on calendar number 8. Also in Brooklyn, calendar numbers 9, 10, 11, and 12. Calendar number 9, C250313HAK, Constellation CB3. Calendar number 10, C250312HAK, Constellation CB5. Calendar number 11, C250314HAK, Constellation CB16. Calendar number 12, C250315HAK, Constellation CB17. In the matter of applications for UDAP designations, project approvals, and dispositions of city-owned properties concerning Constellation CB3, CB5, CB16, and CB17, for favorable reports on calendar numbers 9, 10, 11, and 12. Chair Garodnick.
Aye.
Vice Chair Knuckles.
Yes.
Commissioner Benjamin.
Aye.
Commissioner Cerullo.
Yes.
Commissioner Crowell.
Yes.
Commissioner Dweck.
Yes.
Commissioner Gold.
Yes.
Commissioner Goodrich. The Constellations.
Yes.
Commissioner Kamani.
Yes.
Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner Marin.
Yes.
Commissioner Osorio.
Yes, and thanks so much to the department for facilitating the discussion to address our questions. I appreciate that.
Commissioner Ramprashad.
Yes.
Favorable reports have been adopted on calendar numbers 9, 10, 11, and 12. Also in Brooklyn, calendar numbers 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. 395 Flatbush Avenue Extension Redevelopment in Community District 2. Calendar number 13C260038ZMK. Calendar number 14 N260039ZRK. Calendar number 15 C260041HUK. Calendar number 16 C260042PCK. Calendar number 17 C260040PPK. In the matter of applications for zoning map and zoning text amendments, site selection acquisition, and an urban renewal plan amendment for favorable reports on calendar numbers 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Chair Garodnick.
Aye.
Vice Chair Knuckles.
Yes.
Commissioner Benjamin.
Pass.
Commissioner Cerullo.
Yes.
Commissioner Crowell.
Yes.
Commissioner Dweck.
Yes.
Commissioner Gold.
Yes.
Commissioner Goodrich.
So for this project, I feel strongly that for city-owned land, that there should be, at the very least, 50% affordable housing. And for this project, it's city-owned land and it's a mixed-use development, and it is still the same 25 to 30% affordable housing. And the way that it's been pitched as a positive is that that doesn't involve any city subsidies, but for tenants and people in the neighborhood who would access this property, it's still the same result as any other project that we've seen before, which is 25 to 30% affordable housing. And so I feel strongly that whenever we have, this was an oversight. I feel strongly that this was an oversight for a chance to have more affordable housing on something that is already city-owned land. And for that, and a few reasons, but I won't belabor all of them, I'm voting no.
Commissioner Kamani?
Yes.
Commissioner Mann?
I share some of Commissioner Goodrich's concern about the affordability level on city-owned land, and also, the missed urban design opportunity, I think, to create a better streetscape in downtown Brooklyn.
Can hear you.
Yeah, your microphone is on.
Apologies. I share some of Commissioner Goodrich's concern about affordability on city-owned land, and I think some of the missed opportunities in urban design to better integrate the public space and the transit and the retail on the ground floor with a new building of this scale. I'm hopeful that those discussions can continue at the council, so I'll be voting yes.
Commissioner Marin?
Yes, I'd like to associate my comments with those of Commissioner Mann. I do agree also that there should be more affordable housing on public land, and I too hope that the council will address this when it comes to it. My vote is yes.
Commissioner Osorio?
I respectfully vote no, as I cannot support the proposal until it increases the percentage of affordable housing units. With my vote, I want to specifically highlight the conditional support given by the Borough President, who recommends that the percent of affordable housing units should be at least 40%. I think that in public land, we should be planning aiming for 100%. Thank you.
Commissioner Ramprashad?
I also like to associate myself with the comments made by Commissioner Mann and Goodrich. I'm going to vote yes, and I hope that this gets looked at further at council.
Favorable reports have been adopted on calendar numbers 13, 14, 15, 16.
Sorry, you gotta come back to Commissioner Benjamin.
Oh, I'm sorry, you said pass. Commissioner Benjamin?
I vote no.
Okay. Favorable reports have been adopted on calendar numbers 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Calendar number 18 in Brooklyn, ACS 1040 Dean Street, Community District 8, N260019PXK, in the matter of an application for a notice of intent to acquire office space concerning ACS 1000 to 1040 Dean Street. For a favorable report on calendar number 18, Chair Garodnick.
Aye.
Vice Chair Knuckles.
Yes.
Commissioner Benjamin.
Aye.
Commissioner Cerullo.
Yes.
Commissioner Crowell.
Recused.
Commissioner Dweck.
Yes.
Commissioner Gold.
Yes.
Commissioner Goodrich. Commissioner Kamani.
Yes.
Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner Marin.
Yes.
Commissioner Osorio.
I respectfully vote no on this. I think that even though it's compatible, I feel that increasing office space, specifically city agency office space use, is competing with the potential for light industrial. Thank you.
Commissioner Ramprashad.
Yes.
A favorable report has been adopted on calendar number 18. In the Borough of Queens, calendar numbers 19 and 20, 63-12 Broadway rezoning, Community District 2, calendar number 19, C 250268ZMQ, calendar number 20, N 250269ZRQ, in the matter of applications for zoning map and zoning text amendments concerning 6312 Broadway rezoning. For favorable reports on calendar numbers 19 and 20, Chair Garodnick.
Aye.
Vice Chair Knuckles.
Yes.
Commissioner Benjamin.
Aye.
Commissioner Cerullo.
Yes.
Commissioner Crowell.
Yes.
Commissioner Dweck.
Yes.
Commissioner Gold.
Yes.
Commissioner Goodrich.
Yes.
Commissioner Kamani.
Yes.
Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner Marin.
Yes.
Commissioner Osorio.
Yes.
Commissioner Ramprashad.
Yes. Favorable reports have been adopted on calendar numbers 19 and 20. Calendar numbers 21, 22, and 23, 78
2808 Linden Boulevard rezoning, Community District 10, calendar number 21, C240145ZMQ, calendar number 22, N240146ZRQ, calendar number 23, 240147LDQ, in the matter of applications for zoning map and zoning text amendments and for a modification to a previously approved restrictive declaration concerning 7808 Linden Boulevard rezoning. For favorable reports on calendar numbers 21, 22, and 23, Chair Garodnick.
Aye.
Vice Chair Knuckles.
Yes.
Commissioner Benjamin.
Aye.
Commissioner Cerullo.
Yes.
Commissioner Crowell.
Yes.
Commissioner Dweck.
Yes.
Commissioner Gold.
Yes.
Commissioner Goodrich.
Yes.
Commissioner Kamani.
Yes.
Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner Marin.
Yes.
Commissioner Osorio.
Yes.
Commissioner Rampershad.
Yes.
Favorable reports have been adopted on calendar numbers 21, 22, and 23. Also in Queens, calendar number 24, 247-56 90th Avenue rezoning, Community District 13, C250252ZMQ, in the matter of applications for a zoning map amendment concerning 247-56 90th Avenue rezoning. For a favorable report on calendar number 24, Chair Garodnick.
Aye.
Vice Chair Knuckles.
Yes.
Commissioner Benjamin.
Aye.
Commissioner Cerullo.
Yes.
Commissioner Crowell.
Yes.
Commissioner Dweck.
Yes.
Commissioner Gold.
Yes.
Commissioner Goodrich.
Yes.
Commissioner Kamani.
Yes.
Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner Marin.
Yes.
Commissioner Osorio.
Yes.
Commissioner Rampershad.
Yes.
A favorable report has been adopted on calendar number 24. Also in Queens, calendar numbers 25 and 26, 1410 Beach Channel Drive rezoning, Community District 14. Calendar number 25, C240079ZMQ. Calendar number 226, N240080ZRQ. In the matter of applications for zoning map and zoning text amendments concerning 1410 Beach Channel Drive rezoning. For favorable reports on calendar numbers 25 and 26, Chair Garodnick.
Aye.
Vice Chair Knuckles.
Yes.
Commissioner Benjamin.
Aye.
Commissioner Cerullo.
Yes.
Commissioner Crowell.
Yes.
Commissioner Dweck.
Yes.
Commissioner Gold.
Yes.
Commissioner Goodrich.
Yes.
Commissioner Kamani.
Yes.
Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner Marin.
Yes.
Commissioner Osorio.
I respectfully vote no on this one, but I wanted to say that I very much appreciate the effort of the department in facilitating response to our questions, and I also acknowledge the thoroughness and detailedness of the response, particularly on evacuation matters. However, I agree with the community concerns. This is an area requiring significant infrastructure improvements against particularly climate change impacts before we can increase residential density. Thank you.
Commissioner Rampershad.
Yes.
Favorable reports have been adopted on calendar numbers 25 and 26. Also in Queens, calendar numbers 27 and 28, 217-14 24th Avenue rezoning, Community District 11, calendar number 27C, 240297ZMQ, calendar number 28, N240298ZRQ, in the matter of applications for zoning map and zoning text amendments concerning 217-14 24th Avenue rezoning. For favorable reports on calendar numbers 27 and 28, Chair Garodnick.
Aye.
Vice Chair Knuckles.
Yes.
Commissioner Benjamin.
Aye.
Commissioner Cerullo.
Yes.
Commissioner Crowell is
Yes.
recused.
Nope.
Are you recused?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Dweck.
Yes.
Commissioner Gold.
Yes.
Commissioner Goodrich.
Yes.
Commissioner Kamani.
Yes.
Commissioner Mann. Commissioner Marin.
Yes.
Commissioner Osorio.
Yes.
Commissioner Rampershad.
Yes.
Favorable reports have been adopted on calendar numbers 27 and 28. Now we'll return to the next part of the calendar for a public hearing. The second public hearing item will be calendar number 31, 32nd Street demapping, Community District 1, C250068 MMQ. public hearing in the matter of an application for a city map amendment concerning 32nd Street demapping. There will be a 3-minute team presentation.
Great, and we have Ben Stark here. Whenever you're ready, welcome. You have 3 minutes. Let's hit the base of that microphone, the button at the bottom, the very bottom of the mic. There you go.
Testing. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Commissioners, and thank you for holding off on this one. I wasn't aware that we had been moved from the end of the agenda. Yes, this is an interesting demapping application up in Astoria, Queens, by the Grace Lutheran Church of Long Island. We have been at this for a number of years and are really excited to now be before the Commission because this is a demapping action that uniquely is not going to be resulting in any new development, but which would secure the long-term functionality of Grace Church's, thank you, playground area associated with its on-site school facility. So the background here is that a paper street existing on the city map for over 100 years has crossed privately owned land held by Grace Church between Ditmars and 21st Avenue, and which crosses over a portion of Grace's land that is presently occupied by its playground area associated with its school. And with resources in tow, the church would like to proceed with demapping this portion of Paper Street, just that portion that is unbuilt and upon its private lands, to, in a sense, clear title to ensure that an organization that has been in place for many years, over 100 years, can have the assurance that additional investments in its outdoor play area are not for naught. Although in speaking with the Department of Transportation, we do not, we understand that there's no initiative to build out this street. It still is something in the sort of multi-generational long-term view of the organization is a worthwhile endeavor to foreclose that possibility entirely. So as part of this process, we have worked, of course, with the topographical unit at the Queensborough President's Office. We've worked with the Community Board and obtained their unanimous support. We've, of course, been engaged with the Queens Office of City Planning, who's been very helpful in this process. And I've finally gotten to the point where it appears that we have no, at least on the agency side and on the elected side, no open hostility to this removal of this paper street. And so we're excited to have it at this stage of ULURP and hope that the Commission agrees that this is a minor cleanup of a city map in order to ensure the continued operation of a valued nonprofit local community organization. There's much more I could say on this application, but with it being a single person presentation, I tried to limit my words and be available for questions as they come up. So thank you, and if you have any questions, let me know.
Great, thank you very much for that. Let me see if there are questions for you. Okay, looks like there are no questions for you, so thank you for the thorough 3-minute presentation.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, I see no members of the public wishing to be heard on calendar number 31, the 32nd Street demapping, so we'll close the hearing on this one too. Madam Secretary, over to you. Do we have other business before us today?
No, Chair Garodnick, there's no other business before the Commission for the public meeting, but I do have some public information to share. For those of you who are unable to or did not wish to testify, you can submit written testimony online through DCP's website or by mailing your comments to City Planning Commission, Calendar Information Office, 120 Broadway, 31st floor, New York, New York, 10271.
Great. Before you say it, let me just wish everybody very happy and healthy holidays and New Year. Thank you for all of your incredible work this year. Commissioner?
Just very quickly, I'd like to say that since this is the last meeting of the year and this term, that there's potentially a likelihood that the composition of the commission may change in the new year or at some point in the new year. So I just want to say it's been a pleasure and an honor to serve with this body in this composition and also under your leadership. And I want to thank you for it. It's been amazing.
Yeah, and I want to second that too. You've been an incredible leader, and the
the report that went out, from the department is incredibly impressive about the accomplishments over the past 4 years. That is to your leadership, and immense collegiality on the commission here, and also, what I think has been a remarkably wonderful and tender approach to dealing with so many public concerns and making sure everyone is seen and heard and accounted for. So thank you for that.
I echo those sentiments completely.
Thank you. Beautifully said by my colleague.
Someone passed me, Mr. Vice Chair, but I just wanted to say that if you think about it, City of Yes really was momentous, and getting that done in the environment, the biggest change in 60 years, could not have been done without you. So, I think that's going to go down in history as one of the largest accomplishments of the Adams administration and certainly of the City Planning Commission. So thank you, Dan, for all of that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate those sentiments, and we can, I think, probably end on that note. I appreciate it. We don't. I feel the love. So thank you all very much, and it's also a great honor to work with all of you. So thank you for that. Okay, with that, the time is now 11:12, and we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.